What's going on, guys? Today we have a 2008 Ford Expedition with the 5.4 3-valve Triton in it, but none of that's really important because the customer has a leaking transmission oil pan down there. Let's see if you can see it. It's leaking toward the rear. Anyway, I'm gonna show you guys how to change that today. So first step, make sure you have the fluid, because you're going to be replacing that. The filter kit, which comes with obviously the filter and the actual gasket we're needing. It also comes with instructions on torque specs. Make sure you have a torque wrench to properly torque those, and then we'll be using this to fill it because this one doesn't have a dipstick. Next step, we want to get a creeper so we can crawl around. Then get us a drain pan under there. And notice this pan, we are so lucky because it doesn't actually have a drain bolt. So what I'm going to do, and what I've already started doing, is I'm going to loosen about, I don't know, a quarter of the way these two bolts in the front on both sides, and then remove all the rest of the bolts and let it start draining into my pan slowly as I loosen them. These bolts are an 8mm head, and I will be using one of these to get them out with an 8, and then I have a 1/4 inch set there as well. Also, good idea to keep, a nut cup so you don't lose them. There should be 21 bolts. I'll get them removed and get it started draining and then pick up from there. Okay guys, so we have it slowly starting to drain, and the way I told y'all about leaving the bolts and all that, just throw that out the window because I only pulled maybe half the bolts out and it started draining. So just have a drain pan ready and just, unbolt it slowly. See, we've got a little, most of the bolts are still in the back, but all the bolts are out of the front except for the ones I left about a quarter of the way in. So it'll drain like that for a little bit, and then once it stops, then we'll only have the pan full. And I can start removing the rest of the bolts and try to shimmy it down by hand without spilling fluid everywhere. So I'll let y'all know when it quits dripping. One thing I would recommend having, guys, is this adapter right here to go down to a 1/4 inch extension, but get a wobble extension because these very back bolts near the exhaust are very, very difficult. Let's see if I can get y'all kind of see, the exhaust is quite in the way of where they're at, especially these two on the corners, which I'm not even sure if y'all can see that without me putting it right under there. Let's see. Yeah, those are that bolt right there. And on the other side, extremely difficult to get onto. And this is what I ended up using to make it work because it has the little wobble. So just remember that. Also, you probably want to take those out first. I made the mistake of starting from the front because as I'm trying to take this out, I have fluid, running all over my hands and such. So be mindful of that. Probably figure out how to get those out first for your best chance of getting it done quickly. All right, so I now have the pan off, and we're just gonna kind of let that chill out, drip a little bit more. But now that the pan is off, we can come over here, and I always like to inspect the magnets. If you see, it has some metal on it, but no big chunks. That's completely normal. That is fine. We can go ahead, pop our old gasket off, throw it in our junk, and then I will start cleaning this and get ready to reinstall it. So now that we've got the plan nice and clean, pretty clean anyway, now that we got the pan nice and clean, we can go back under here and I will show y'all how to remove that filter right there. So I'm not too sure if I can do this with one hand, but it basically just has an O-ring on the spout going in there, holding it into the tree. Oh, there it is. Yep. And then Okay, we see the O-ring stayed up in the hole. So now we have to get in there with a pick or something. I can actually feel it. Okay, we have to get in there and get that out. I'll show y'all that in a minute. So there, you can see what I was talking about with the O-ring. And then, see if we can get that out of there. Usually pretty stubborn. But yeah, I'm probably going to need 2 hands to do this, but basically remove that if it doesn't come out with your filter. Okay, so I was able to go up in there with this and pull down really hard and catch the lip of that thing, and it came right out. It's extremely hard. But anyway, your new filter will come with a new one, and it'll be nice and soft and it'll be easy to put in. This one's just been in there for the life of the truck, so you know, it's hard as a rock. Anyway, so now we'll install our new filter. There's nothing to it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show it, but basically you just pop it up in there, give it a wiggle, make sure it goes all the way in. You'll feel it, and then we can install our pan. Alright, so now I have the pan cleaned up, gasket sitting on it. I like to put a small amount of this just in, like, you know, the corners and stuff to hold the gasket down, because there's really nothing holding this, and you're going to be fighting it, trying to hold it up with one hand and start a bolt with the other. So the last thing you need to do is fight with a gasket. So I put a little bit of RTV on it here and there and use that to guide it. Now when I go to put this on, I probably won't be able to show that either, but it's very straightforward. I'm literally going to stick it up there, hold it with probably my left hand, and start the bolts in the 4 corners. Then I can start threading them all in, run them all up snug, and then we'll torque all of them evenly. Okay, so I have the pan installed and torqued, and ignore that mess. That's brake cleaner from where I cleaned up all the fluid. But the fun part for this is now we have to figure out how to fill it, because here's your fill. It's a plug, and here's the new one. So it has a dipstick, but you know, it's not really very accessible. Cap's kind of made into it, but I have a solution. We're going to take this get up right here with a piece of hose that I had laying around the shop, feed it in through there, stick it in the transmission, and come right here and pour oil in, nice and slow. So I'm going to start doing that, and I'll let y'all know when it gets filled up. Alright, so we now have the transmission full. I'm letting it idle. I already took it for a drive and verified the fluid levels. This is the oil it calls for. It actually calls for like SPX-P or something like that, but it's actually discontinued, so this is the updated one. But I ended up using, let's see, the literature said like 11 quarts, but I could only get it to hold like 8. But either way, it's full. I've driven it about 20 miles, and I'm just kind of letting it idle. I'm gonna have to take it to the car wash, clean up, you know, whatever mess we got. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.